Hello everyone, welcome to yet another session of the Daily News Analysis by SRIRAM'S IAS, where we take up the important articles featuring in the Hindu newspaper and break them down for our understanding from the UPSC examination point of view. So let's start our today's discussion by taking up the important articles which feature in the Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper. And with this, let's take up our first article for the day. The first article which appears in the newspaper reads, "The Action Plan Against Delhi's Air Pollution." Now, Delhi's air pollution is an issue which has been brewing, and Delhi's air quality has been worsening for the past few years. And to tackle this issue, recently what happened was that the revised Graded Response Action Plan, or what is shortly known as the GRAP, was finalized by the government and was set for implementation. So in this aspect, what becomes important for us to know about, and with this we'll dive deep into about the air pollution issue in Delhi and what are the mechanisms that are being taken in place in order to deal with this issue. So let's first understand some important points with respect to Delhi's air pollution. So air pollution continued to spike to unhealthy levels in 2021 for Delhi, and New Delhi continues to be the world's most polluted capital city for the fourth consecutive year, according to the World Air Quality Report. This report is prepared by the Swiss organization IQ Air. So even when we talk about the world's most polluted cities, Delhi stands at the top of all those cities. And according to the report's summary, air pollution, how grave a problem air pollution has become, air pollution is now considered to be the world's largest environmental health threat, accounting for 7 million deaths around the world every year. And this air pollution causes a range of diseases with people. It causes and aggravates many diseases ranging from asthma to cancer, lung diseases, heart disease, and the estimated daily economic cost of air pollution has also been finalized by the report and is figured at $8 billion USD, or 3 to 4% of the gross world product. This particular data gives us a picture as to how dangerous the problem of air pollution has become. Right now, when we're recording this video, we're situated in Delhi. But when we're residing in this place, the levels of air pollution are not very instantly visible to our eyes. But this is the level of damage that is being caused, where multiple diseases people are become susceptible to these diseases. And on that front as well, on the economic front as well, we see that close to $8 billion the world is facing a loss due to the issues of air pollution. So this is the gravity of air pollution for world in general, and Delhi stands at the top of the world's most polluted city. So what is being done for Delhi? What are the solutions for the air pollutions that are being implemented? So the part of solution comes from the topic at hand which we have, which is the Graded Response Action Plan. Now, what is this Graded Response Action Plan? First, the issue of air pollution went to the Supreme Court. In Supreme Court, in the matter of MC Mehta versus Union of India regarding the air quality in the National Capital Region of Delhi, a Graded Response Action Plan was prepared for implementation under the Different Air Quality Index. Air Quality Index means that this is an index which analyzes the air quality of various regions and classifies it into its with respect to its level of purity of air. So based on this AQI indexes, it prepared categories, and with these categories known as moderate and poor, very poor and severe, these are basically the categories of air pollution levels. So which means that the AQI, or the air is very poor or moderate, and then it goes on to the level of severe as well. So based on these categories, the government submitted a Graded Response Action Plan in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court then accepted this plan, and this was then notified by the Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change in the year 2017. So this plan came in the year 2017, and it institutionalized measures to be taken when air quality deteriorates. So the plan is incremental in nature, which means that as the air quality of the Delhi air decreases, various stages of the plan are executed, and according to those stages, certain measures are implemented. So the plan is incremental. Therefore, when the air quality moves from poor to very poor, the measures listed under both sections have to be followed. Whatever the measures are listed in the action plan, the government has to implement those measures, and it prevents PM10 and PM 2.5 levels from going beyond the moderate national AQI category. What are these PM 10 and PM 2.5? So we've seen this in our earlier sessions. PM 10 or particulate matter 10 or particulate matter 2.5, these are basically particulate matter or fine particles in the size of 2.5 microns and 10 microns, hence the name given to them, PM 10 and PM 2.5. And these particulate matter are the one we can say are the driving pollutants in the air pollution game. So the action plan seeks to specifically control these elements. So after that, who is implementing this action plan? So the body that is responsible for implementing the graded response action plan is the CAQM, or the Commission for Air Quality Management. This was established under the plan. Before this institution was there handling the pollution levels in the city. The earlier body which was handling this was the Supreme Court appointed Environmental Pollution Authority, which was known as EPCA. Since there was not a law in place to deal with the air pollution issue, there was a body mandated by the Supreme Court dealing with this issue. But when the action plan came into force in 2017, so the body that would be responsible to implement the measures under this plan was formed as the Commission for Air Quality Management, or CAQM, in 2020. And this is now the nodal body which deals with the implementation of the graded response action plan. It is a statutory body to coordinate and oversee diverse efforts to improve air quality in Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan and UP with the underlying remedial approach. So when we talk about air pollution, there are a host of actions and other authorities which are also involved. We need to coordinate with various states. Like for example, the air pollution in Delhi peaks up at the time of stubble burning, which happens predominantly in the months of November. So the authorities have to coordinate with other state authorities, and then there are various pollution control bodies, authorities which are simultaneously working on the issue of air pollution. So the body that coordinates all these activities is the Commission on Air Quality Management. So that is the body. Now let's talk about what are the stages and what kind of actions are taken when this graded response action plan is kicked in. So recently what has happened? The air quality of Delhi was set to was recorded in the poor category, and therefore stage 1 was activated for Delhi's air pollution control program, which is done for the poor AQI, which ranges between 201 and 300. So when the air quality index shows a reading between 200 and 300, we can say that the air quality of Delhi is poor, and that's when stage 1 of the graded response action plan will be kicked in, and measures listed under this stage will have to be implemented by the government. Similar are other stages where if the air quality goes into the very poor category, the AQI showing figures between 301 to 400, then the stage 2 is kicked in. Then we have stage 3 for severe air category, wherein the AQI shows from 401 to 450. And stage 4 is finally for the severe plus, which means that the air pollution levels have gone on to catharsis levels, fatal levels, and the AQI showing more than 50 AQI figures are ranging. So these are the 4 stages which are there under the graded response action plan, as matched with the air quality that is recorded. So what kind of actions then are performed when such kind of air quality is deteriorated and the stage 1, 2, 3 is activated? So in the stage 1 of the category where the air quality is taken as poor, certain measures are implemented. So for example, there is enforcing of pollution control in thermal power plants. So those thermal power plants which are essentially burning the fossil fuels to generate electricity, their pollution mandate is taken care of. Then mechanized sweeping on roads starts to take place. So since the roads become a source of pollution, the sweeping of the road is taken place, and also splashing of water vapor is done on these roads. Then there is a ban on firecrackers that is implemented. Currently Delhi is facing a firecracker ban, and it is said that it will continue to do so in the time of Diwali as well. And then garbage burning or the management of solid waste is also taken care of when the stage 1 of the action plan is kicked in. Currently, stage 1 of the graded response action plan has been kicked in the past week, and these will be the measures which would be taken care of. Right? Then we have the other stages. When same air quality goes into the very poor category, then the measures would intensify. So where the roads were cleaned 3 times in a week, now they would be cleaned daily, and the splashing of water vapors, the intensity would also increase. So In the stage 2, we have stoppage of use of diesel generator sets. These generators, which are used by various shops or industries to fulfill their need for electricity, they also produce a lot of pollution. And when the stage 2 will kick in, these diesel generators would be prohibited to operate. And then increase in bus and metro services and increasing frequency of metro services. So in order to again curb the pollution that occurs due to the vehicular activities, each person driving their own vehicle increases the pollution, and therefore availability of the public transport services is what the next stage has. And then stoppage of use of coal or firewood in hotel and open eateries. The tandoors or the charcoal based plants which we see in the open in the hotels and eateries are also a major source of the pollution, and in the stage 2 even they are taken under the measures. Then in the stage 3, where we have severe air category, the measures again intensify and we increase the frequency of mechanized sweeping of roads. Again the frequency is increased. Close the brick kilns, those plants where the bricks are made, hot mix plants and stone crushers. All those industries which produce more pollution, they would be prohibited to operate. This would be especially for the NCR region, right? Similar is the severe plus category or the 4th category, wherein the air quality has gone to such dangerous levels that the entry of diesel trucks into Delhi would be stopped altogether. So no vehicles which do not have their PUC certificates or pollution control certificates checked, they won't be allowed entry into Delhi. And then all the construction activities which are operated in Delhi, those would also be stopped, and introducing odd and even scheme that has been kept for the severe plus category, and shutting of schools is also one of the measures that is taken when the air quality in the city has gone on to such low levels. So these are some of the categories which are there in the graded response action plan, and we saw the measures with respect to each stage that will be taken. But are there any measures for the citizens as well? So it so happens that the GRAP also mentions certain steps that are to be taken by the citizens, which are properly turning the engines of their vehicles, turning off their engines, then ensuring accurate air pressure in tires, and updating their PUC, that is pollution under control certificates. So these are some of the measures that are also mandated to be followed by the citizens of Delhi. So this is what we saw in this article, wherein the graded response action plan, which is the premier instrument used right now to curb pollution levels of Delhi, which has become a dangerous menace in modern times. That is why the topic of GRAP becomes important. And with this, we finish this article, and let's move on to our next article for the day. The next article which appears in the newspaper reads, "The fate of chips will determine the fate of nations." Now, what does this article say? Is it talking about the potato wafer chips? No. These chips are what are being talked as the semiconductor chips. So few days ago we took a session on the semiconductor chips, and we saw as to how every electronic item that we use in our daily lives, we use a tablet, laptop, phone, all these electronic equipment are run by what can say the building block for these instruments is what is called a semiconductor chips, which takes care of the flow of electrons between them, and that is how the current is flown and these electronic equipments operate. So talking about the vastness and the role of these chips, let's take a look at an example of the size consideration, where a human hair is 50 to 180 microns, right? We know how slim a human hair is, and the novel coronavirus is 0.10.5 microns. So we also know how tiny the coronavirus is. But even tinier than these two objects is the shrinking nature of chips, where in comparison, today's most advanced chips are about half the size of the novel coronavirus. Can we imagine the level of size that the chip manufacturers have gone into, where smaller and smaller the size of chips are going, and even those small chips are fitted with millions and billions of transistors which take care of the information flow between them, right? So the diameters of these chips are still shrinking. This is the powerful object that is semiconductor chips, and therefore their role is, one can say, omnipresent in today's world. So who is the leading manufacturer of the chips? Taiwan's Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC, is the world's leading manufacturer of chips, which is placed over 1 quintillion. We need not even bother how many zeros there are after 1. It is 1 followed by 18 zeros. That is the amount of transistors on just the iPhone chip. The iPhone that we use contains chips, and the chips that are fitted in the iPhone is manufactured by the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, which is again based in Taiwan. They supply chips to all these leading electronic companies. So this is the humongous and one can say the magnificent nature of semiconductor chips as to how small they are, yet how they become the building block and they essentially power these machines such as the iPhone, which we use, right, in our daily lives. So therefore, every message that we send, every picture that we take and every call that we make depends on one chip or the another. This is the role of the chip. And the tricky point in this scenario is that Apple does not make its own chips. These are manufactured only by select few chip manufacturing companies. We'll take a look at in a short while as to which are those countries which are leading in semiconductor chip manufacturing. So this we saw its role in the electronic industry, but the semiconductor chips have a role in the military aspect as well. How, you will ask? Let's see. So it has a role in Russia-Ukraine war also. How does it have a role in Russia-Ukraine war? Because the missiles that are used by Ukraine are the precision guided missiles, and again they also have certain technology fitted in them which makes them target or reach their target in a guided manner. So these precision guided missiles used by Ukraine also make use of these chips. These semiconductor chips are in operation in the war zone as well. And Russia is not a major manufacturer of the semiconductor chips, and the major dent that it has faced with respect to this aspect is that it is also sort of struggling to collect chips or import chips from other countries because it is not a leading manufacturer of the semiconductor chips. So this is the aspect of chips which we saw in the war zone manner. So therefore, we can, these examples are there for us to see as to how crucial a role these semiconductor chips are setting to play in the world order, where every country is interested in procuring their semiconductor chips availability for themselves. And due to these rising geopolitical tensions between China, Taiwan and USA, between Russia and Ukraine, and the disruption of supply chains all over the world, this has resulted into chip shortage for everyone. This chip shortage is felt by India as well. So which are the countries which are the leading manufacturers of chips? So Taiwan is the leading manufacturer, followed by South Korea, USA, Japan, Netherlands and China. These are the few countries which are only producing the semiconductor chips, and the production of semiconductor chips by other countries other than these is very minimal, right? So this is the tally of countries which are leading in chip manufacturing. Now, as we saw this, that the role of the semiconductor chips is very crucial and it is being used in every area. And then there are very few countries which are manufacturing it, and due to that, shortages in the chip import are coming. There are disruptions in the supply chain of the chips, and therefore not just the ability to manufacture chips, but also the ability to integrate and synthesize them into complex systems will determine the fate of nations in the coming decades. This gives us a picture. The author, through this article, tries to put chips in the central place of geopolitics and shows that those who would control the production of the chips as well as innovation in these chips can decide the course of the geopolitical order in a great way. It will determine the nation's course. And today, critical sectors such as defense, telecom, electronics and mobility are hugely impacted by the chip shortage, which we saw, which won't end until 2023, says research studies. And therefore, many countries such as US, European Union, Japan and India as well with China have poured about $200 billion of money in the semiconductor sector. This is where India also took care of this issue, and in pursuant to deal with its shortage, it has launched what is known as the India's Semiconductor Mission. This semiconductor mission is basically launched in 2021, the December month of 2021, with a total financial outlay of rupees 76,000 crore under the aegis of Ministry of Electronics and IT. What this means is that 76,000 crore worth money has been sidelined for this mission, wherein the government would give certain incentives so that many chip manufacturing companies or units start to get set up all over the country. So it would give design linked incentive as well as production linked incentives to these countries, to these companies with the financial outlay that has been given to them. And it is a part of the comprehensive program for the development of sustainable semiconductor and display ecosystem in the country. So in pursuant to this objective, many semiconductor manufacturing units are to be set up with support of this mission. So this is what India is doing with respect to boosting its production units, but it won't happen very soon. This is still in its nascent stage. The mission itself was launched last year, and to see any progress on this manner, we need to wait and see as to how many chip manufacturing plants do start to come up. Here is where the author highlights the issue of the Vedanta Foxconn issue. This was an issue which was in news for past few weeks ago, and this was pertaining to a chip manufacturing plant. What was this issue? So Foxconn company is an international company leading in the semiconductor manufacturing companies, and along with Foxconn, Vedanta, which is an Indian company, they formed a joint venture, and together they launched a semiconductor project for rupees 1,54,000 crore. Such a humongous project was launched by them, again for semiconductor manufacturing plant, and this was initially launched in Talegaon, Maharashtra, which certain events happened, and a few weeks ago news occurred that it has been shifted now to Ahmedabad, Gujarat. So this issue flared up a lot of political slugfest, where each political parties from each state starting hurling abuses to each other for losing the plant in the state of Maharashtra, and that is where the issue started to brew. But what is important for us to note is that such investment is being made in the semiconductor sector, and the author highlights that in the surface of fighting between the political parties, what we need to see is that these humongous chip manufacturing plants require steady electricity and billions of gallons of clean water which are required to set up such a chip unit, and none of the states have the capacity to supply such amounts of clean water. So these are some of the issues also which are there with respect to the setting up of chip plants, which the author suggests that therefore we should be looking at these international investors excuse me, very carefully. So this was a discussion with respect to the chip manufacturing industry and how the semiconductor chips today hold a great role in the geopolitical world order, and those nations which have their chip supply covered out will play a great role in tomorrow. So with this, we finish this article, and let's move on to the next article for the day. The next article which appears in the newspaper reads, "The Programming Languages Running the Crypto Economy." Now this particular article is important because many a times UPSC focuses on the new terms that are existing in the niche fields. So in this article talks about the crypto economy. When we mean by crypto economy, all the cryptocurrencies that are floating into the market, and how do these cryptocurrencies are operated. So at the back end of these cryptocurrencies, what is operated are the programming languages which make them possible. So apart from recording and verifying transaction, some crypto blockchains like Ethereum, which is a cryptocurrency, lets users launch agreements or special actions that execute on their own. So now these cryptocurrency platforms have started to give other services as well, such as these are known as smart contracts. They let two people come into an agreement as well in their platform, and to create them effectively, programming languages are a must. They are so important that crypto exchanges, decentralized apps, automated buying or selling of orders, and even NFT based games often rely on smart contracts to run smoothly. And a smart contract failure can cause platform outages, and exploitation of the codes could devalue the entire ecosystem. So at the heart of these sensitive mechanisms, what sit is the programs behind them, and therefore the programming languages which is deciding the course of these apps become very important. So these programming languages thus help crypto platforms and protocols run effectively. So from the examination point of view, what we need to see are which are the important programming languages. So the languages that we see on our screen right now, it is possible that most of us have heard about it. There's a language known as C, C++, Java, JavaScript, or the Python. These are some of the popular programming languages which exist in the IT industry. Apart from them, in the crypto economy, there are certain new languages which have come up. One is known as Solidity, one is Rust, and the other one is Haskell. These are some of the names of the programming languages that exist, which UPSC can ask on as to that. It will mention the names and it will ask that these names which are often seen in news are examples of what. So 4 options would be given, and from them we need to select the programming language option. So This was our discussion today on the important articles. We finish here and we'll meet again tomorrow with the important articles from the newspaper. Thank you.